What's up, y'all? It's time for another episode of Throwing Light. I am LTV. If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. Tonight, I have a this. I'm really like this guest. It's Miguel Torres. Miguel Torres, and Daddy for International Mr. Leather this past 2024. Hey, Miguel, what's going on?
Oh, good. You're having a really good time. I'm actually in Michigan right now. I live in Chicago, but I came and stayed the weekend with my IML brother from 10 years ago, who invited me to one of his parties over here. And he just cooked me a delicious paella for dinner. So that is one of my favorite things about IML is the connections, right? That's what I told everybody that competes is that the real price is the people that you go through the experience with. And here I am 10 years later after I competed in one of my best friends' house, some people I consider family, my IML brother, and having a wonderful time in Detroit. So much so that instead of leaving today, I'm actually waking up really early and leaving tomorrow and drive back to Chicago before work.
How far is your drive? How long of a drive is it?
It's a little bit less than 5 hours, so I have to get up really early to make sure that I can attend my first Zoom meeting in the morning
Like 3 a.m. You got to leave or something?
at 4 a.m. But it's also an hour ahead, so I also gain an hour
Oh
going
yeah,
back.
you gotta go back. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you're an hour ahead. Okay, cool. Because I was giving you everything in Central Time. Okay, we're super excited about this interview, Miguel. All right, cool. So, why don't we talk a little bit about how you got involved in the community? Let's talk a little bit about how you got to your first IML 10 years ago.
Well, my first IML was actually 2009, so it's been a little bit longer.
Which one did you compete in?
I
Which IML did you compete in?
I, I competed in 2014, so
Oh,
that was
yeah.
10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I competed in our local title, Mr. Chicago Leather, and I didn't know what to expect too much. I watched the contest. I was kind of still not really in the community, but I did like the image of leather, and I like the people that I keep meeting that were in the community. It seems to be nicer people, and people that were just so secure with who they were, or at least that's what kind of portrayed, and it made it very attractive to me. So eventually people kind of convinced me, like, I think you should run for this title. And I was like, but I don't know, because I don't feel like I'm a leather man. I feel like I'm a Jason. I had a pair of boots, I had some harness, and I loved the drawings, and I've been to the leather archives, but that's about it. But I ended up competing, and I happened to win, and my life changed immediately overnight. Right, I was thrown into this whirlwind of which I'm sure that you especially understand, right? Of how everything changes overnight. Suddenly, everyone wants to get to know you and talk to you, and it was a bit overwhelming. But over the year, I kind of found my footing of what is it that interests me about it, what is it that I wanted to do, and it really set my life in a completely different path. And I'm really, really grateful for it. 10 years later, I don't think I'd be the person I am today if it wasn't for the leather community.
It's definitely cool to have you on here because we are coming up on Thanksgiving and you pretty much was what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm pretty sure the conversation we're going to have is about togetherness with you, and you already kind of started off the interview talking about the experience of being able to have these great relationships from IMO, which I have. I'm super busy right now. I got a lot busier, but like I know what who of my brothers are there for me at this point and who I do want to try to make time for in my life because they're supporting me through this journey. There were 59 of us. So the thing about it is, and the honest truth is that I didn't get to spend time with everyone in my class. It's a little bit more difficult as you're in your groups, and then you're kind kind of in that headspace of waiting because there's a lot of waiting and things like that. But you
Mhm.
do, I did get to interact with a lot of them, and some I've gotten to interact with a lot and a lot more. And those are the ones I really am like, these are like truly connections of people that I can turn to, especially when I'm traveling and things like that. You were Mr. Chicago Leather, and we share something in common. You were contestant number one. And so this is the first time I get to talk to someone that knows what that's like. In front of everybody because, my siblings have called me number one. A lot of people in the community have called me number one. The experience is a little bit more. I mean, to be number one is a special thing. It's really cool to have, gone through IML and been able to be the person that started everything through the contest and lead that. At the time, I was terrified.
Well, so was I, trust me.
At the time, I was terrified, but now sitting here, I am so glad I got to have that. Like, you know, there are only 46 people that have been contested number one.
Hmm.
So,
Correct. I will tell you. So as you know, they do the number drawing in alphabetical legal name order. Even if they don't announce your legal name, they announce you by your stage name. The order is alphabetical. So my name being Torres, I was probably 4 or 5 from the end, and I was sitting with my IMO brother from LA, Cody Troy, he and I were holding hands, and we were all in order, and we had the tumbler. Back then, in my year, they used to be private ceremonies. It was during orientation. You pick up your number. Now we make it public, so everybody can see. But back then, we had that big tumbler, the golden tumbler, like before, with all the envelopes. And one by one, they go through the A's, B's, and they go through. And as we're progressing, we know that contestant number one hasn't been pulled yet. And my brother Cody looks at me saying, it's going to be one of us, right? And I said, I am actually pretty certain that it will be one of us. So they called him out. He had I don't remember his number, but when I came in, I picked up number and the number one, in the entire class, the entire room just exploded in laughter and cheering. And there's this one of my favorite photos from my IML year. It's me being overwhelmed, and I had this smile on my face, but you can tell I was terrified. And I had my hand up going yay. And then within the stage manager holding the number of one. And I remember after that date, I'm like, oh my God. The worst part is, they tell you, well, you have to set the tone, etc. But especially when it comes to staging, they had these errors, right? That they want the stages to be left, right, etc. And they have these green and red arrows that tells you you're even or odd. The problem is I'm also colorblind. So when I got to the stage to practice the first time, they told me just follow the red arrow. And I said, both arrows looked the same to me, which of course there was a wrench thrown into the stage management really well. So they had to use this. Steamworks had these little piggy lights. I don't know if you've seen them. And they completely change everything. So as they push you into the stage, you're waving and etc. You look at the stage and you start seeing this little flashing light. You're like, okay, I need to just head towards that direction to exit the other way. So after that, they changed the colors, because I was also the first ever colorblind number one contestant. So if I screw up, everybody behind me is going to screw up as well. So it was a different experience. But I also make sure, since I've been involved in IML every year, that I make sure that I always have a chat with whoever pulls a contestant number one, because I know how that feels. It's terrifying in the beginning, but then once you get used to it, it's fine. It's great. But yeah, it was just such a unique experience for me, and I make sure that I share that with every contestant number one, like I did with you every year.
So I mean, you literally described the same experience for me as ever being colorblind. So because I also, in alphabetical order, am a T. I'm Tolliver. I'm the exact same. It was down to 5 of us. it felt like hot potato. Like it felt like no
Hmm.
one wanted number one. And I was just like, this can't happen to me. Like this won't happen. Like, and then when I got out there and then I pulled the number and then all of a sudden they walked over and the glitter fell down on me. I was just like, I didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening. And then when they were like the number one, I was like, holy, like everyone saw me. I had the video of me being like, this can't be happening. Like I had to go backstage, everybody had to be like, it's okay, it's okay. Like I was just like, oh my god, I'm number one, I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do. And everyone had to kind of like be like, it's cool, cool. So it took my siblings honestly getting me to relax into being number one and just doing the best I
Hmm.
can, because I don't think I would have been able to get through that moment without everybody supporting me at that time, because I had no idea. This was my first IML ever and I had no idea what to expect. So it was wild. It was definitely wild.
Yeah. Yeah, we added the glitter once Jeff Tucker became the new Dan Daddy. He wanted to make like an extra special for contestant number one in what whomever is the last envelope to add the glitter to make it a little bit fun and showy. And I got to, as my first year as Dan Daddy this year I got to stuff the glitter and put the glitter on the envelope that you picked, which was fun to see for the first time being picked. I was on the side door waiting for whomever was number one, and then I was just cheered. And because I had to identify who's going to pick it and what phase are they going to do, so to make sure that I can pull you to the side later and have a little chat to calm you down.
You did do that. You did do that to me. You did pull me aside, and we did have a little chat about it. I don't think there's anything that anyone could have told me to be like, "Hey, it's going to be okay. You're setting the tone." Like it didn't matter. I had to
Yeah.
struggle with my. I really had to struggle in a lot in terms of being present and not being in my head, because
Hmm.
pulling that number one is such a mind like, excuse my language, mind fuck, for a second, because you're like,
Hmm.
oh shit, you're going to be the first one walking out for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going to happen? So it was interesting. Now the thing is that you came back. You said you've been involved with IML every year since you had your title. Um, so is this your first time being involved behind the scenes, or where have you done this years prior?
No, so after I finished my IML run, I really connected with the handler staff, and I this is where I really felt this is what I meant to do. I meant to empower, make people safe, hopefully make people feel safe and prepare them, because being a contestant in IML is such an emotional roller coaster. And I felt that so safe and so seen and so just so part of the community with those handlers that will get you at any time, not just help you dress and undress, but also give you the pep talks, give you the hugs, smiling at you, just telling you got this, right? When you're starting to be in your head and you're starting to be like, this is so much bigger than I thought it would be. And I just at that point I said, this is what I'm meant to do. And I messaged the Den Daddy at the time, Joey McDonald. I was his last class before Jeff Tucker took over, and I said I will love to be the handler. And he told me take a year off, because the immediate post the immediate IML after you compete, it's actually also a really cool experience, and I don't want to rob you from that. But then after that year, come to me and we'll talk. So I said I am really really interested in being a handler, and so I came back to IML the next year as an attendee. Lots of my IML brothers came back, and we just sat in that theater and just watched the show in a different light. Right? We were cheering so loud for everyone because we had just gone through that. We know what's going through their heads, right? And we are just cheering them on and just being as loud as we could be. And it was such a nice and bonding experience with my IML siblings still, even the year after. And after that, I was added to, thankfully, Jeff Tucker did invite me to join the handlers team. So I've been an IML handler under his direction from 2016 through last year. And that's when Jeff Tucker decided to retire. and he did have a succession plan, and he had asked me a couple of years before if I would ever be interested in stepping into this role, which I thought would be terrifying. And that role is something so big that I did not feel prepared or ready. And it was his guidance and his training that make me feel that I can do this. So this, and I told him I would do it only if he agreed to reverse roles with me. So he would be part of the handler staff, so he can make sure that I don't miss anything or help me succeed. And he agreed to that. So that's why Jeff was part of the handler team this year, always advising me, helping me. And as I took on the role of Den Daddy, of the fourth Den Daddy in IML history, and it was very, very intense experience and one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I can't see myself doing this for many, many years to come.
That's fantastic. You definitely you herding us together throughout, getting us ready, preparing, coming, actually showing up to IML and you being there in person and everything. Um, I am actually after MAL, I'm actually probably not going to be doing too much leather events prior to IML and Austin Key Weekend, but I do plan on
Mm-hmm.
spearheading our reunion at this next for the next IML. So I am going to push. And I already told them that I'm interested in trying to, spearhead the reunion. So once MAL and the everything drops for that, I'll start kind of getting us together for that. Because I know a lot of us are probably going to be coming back, but I think it's a truly important moment for us to have this reunion. And as it's not going to be 59 of us. It's just going to be the ones that are still here, in the community. Because as you know, some of us um, go away. Some of us don't appreciate the brotherhood, and I'm not by any means being judgy or whatever, but some people aren't into that. They were
Mm-hmm.
into the competition, and with the competition over, they don't see the value in having connection. Which after IML, um, things momentum came with us. I've had 2 meetups now with my IML class here on this show. We're about to do another one in regards to getting ready for 2025. So,
Mm-hmm.
I've understood that keeping this connection and keeping that power, and we're stronger together than we are apart. And we've got that IML, we have our chat, and a lot of us are still using that. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
we'll continue to use that for who knows long, but it is active. I have it on, I have my ding notifications on, so I know every time one of my IML siblings sends a chat message. I know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still in that chat.
Yeah, I
So
am.
Miguel, so let's talk a
Yes.
little bit about the state of our community. You being someone who cares about the nurturing and the mentoring and all of that. You're in Chicago, you're in Illinois, you're in a blue state. I'm in Texas, I'm in a red state. The politics are obviously very different. I don't know how this future administration is going to affect us on a national level, on a statewide level. Um, what are some ways do you think that our community can survive through what potentially could be another 4 years of oppression, attacks, violence on us? And I see you as someone that really understands the importance of unity and togetherness. And what are some ways that we as a community can become closer and bond and get through what could be a difficult era in our community?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the recent U.S. election was kind of a gut punch to a lot of us, not just because of who ended up ultimately winning, but also the amount of people that voted that chose to vote for that. While for many of us, the message was so clearly opposite, right? On in there's an area of positivity versus just a negative fear based and anger based actions, and we are scared, right? The first reaction I think a lot of us had was to fly, like it's just, I want to disappear, I want to move out, I want to be quiet. But once we process through that initial fear and anger, I think what we need to do is actually quite the opposite. Is for us, for a lot of us that still have the spoons and the ability to be present, and we need to be as loud as ever, as united as ever, because those people will continue to push back against our lifestyle, against our values, and try to impose their values onto us. We just can't let them. And the way for us to do that is we have to really focus on what unites us and not what divides us. We are different people from different areas, from different cultures. We're always going to have disagreements on certain things, on how to handle certain things. What we need to focus on is there are bigger pieces of society that wants us erased, that wants us dead. And those are the people that we need to unite against. Those are values that we can actually find common ground in, and fight together towards towards our rights, and ensure that we are not erased, because we need to be louder and louder and more visible than ever. And one of the things that I've pledged is I stopped segmenting my social media. I used to have lists for family, lists for friends. I stopped all that. I said, here's who I am. Not that I wasn't, it wasn't too obvious, right? But I made all my posts public. I said, I am who I am, and I am a Leatherman, and these are my values, and I am going to be in their faces as they have been in mine. And that is, I feel what we need to do. We need to become louder, and also we need to approach it with an air of positivity, as in freedom. What we really advocate for is freedom, right? People claim that the Republican Party and the conservatives are the party of freedom, but who are the ones that are trying to ban books? Who are the ones that are trying to ban or teach or dictate how you educate your kids? Who are the ones that are trying to impose your religion, your religious beliefs on everybody else? We are the ones that are saying you can be whomever you want, you can be whoever you want, dress whoever you want, love whoever you want, read however you want, go whatever directions you want. We are the ones advocating that, and that's how we need to transform that message into a message of freedom, and freedom of being who you are, and freedom of being respected for who you are and who you want to be.
That's awesome. And I had a guest last week. Or just a couple of days ago, I had Dan Bear, Mr. Mid Atlantic 2023, and he said,
Mhm.
and this is right, like let people be who they are. Like there's this like literal like not letting people express who they are, and it's really really frustrating. Again, these same people. The fact to be so ignorant and limit the world to a man woman type of viewpoint and deny everything that's in between that is just so ridiculous. And we can't thrive in this binary system of Republican, Democrat, gay, straight. Like, I am a bisexual, pansexual, sapiosexual, demisexual. I'm complicated. I don't want my life to be put in some box. And
Mhm.
it really does a disservice to us as a community when they determine what boxes we belong in. And that's where we have to push back and be like, no, like we deserve the world view just like everybody else. We deserve to see the entire world outside of this box. Um,
Listen, just the view the pushback and fear usually comes from ignorance, right? It is from people not knowing, or people having this misconception of who gay people are, who kinksters are, right? It is you walking as a Leatherman on the street, and people making assumptions about who you are from the whatever very limited, narrow-minded view they have. So the way that we combat that is sitting down and being very visible, sitting down and having a conversation. It's like, this is who I am, from not from a point of of anger, but from a point of understanding, saying, "This is who I am as a person. Here are my values. I respect your values. You know, I am not. I am not here to tell you that you have to marry a gay person. I'm not. I'm here to tell you that you have to have an abortion. I'm here to tell you that you have the freedom to do so, just like should have the freedom to do so."
I agree with you. All right, Miguel. So we're at the point of the show where I get to ask everyone the same question, and this is our final
All
question
right.
of the evening. Is there any aspect of our community that you feel that we are not shining enough light on?
I mean, we continue to see the pain and suffering that trans people of color and non-binary and siblings that we have in our community. I think while a lot of us talk a lot online, those communities are those go into this void of self-contained bubbles. We need to get out and actually do things on the street. We need to support, volunteer. We don't just shouting on social media does not solve it, because I haven't seen a single problem that has been solved by social media. We need to get off our keyboards and go to the street and go to this and go volunteer and go put your money when your mouth is. And that I think that is one of the things that I've seen the most is people say, trans women are women, and close their laptop and feel that they've done their part. And that is just not enough. We need to volunteer. We need to volunteer to those organizations, make sure that donate money to those organizations that actually try to pass laws that protest against laws that are not that are designed to damage us. That's really going to those rootgrass movements are the ones that are really going to make a difference and really going to make people feel safer.
I 100% love that. When you said money, put your money where your mouth is, it just hit my, I'm like, dude, why, of course we should be putting our money back into our community. We should be investing in our community with our own money. But the fact that we have to pay tax money and we're not treated like first class citizens, that's a problem in itself. Our money is still good, right?
Or yes, exactly. So they are happy to take our money, right? And I don't see this problem as much in Chicago, right? Because as you say, we're a pretty sanctuary city when it comes to that. Even with all the problems and still work to be done in Chicago, there are way worse problems and way more safety issues in places like Texas. But yes, in another problem I have, it is that churches have become political puppets and become pushers of agendas. And so as such, they should be also liable to pay taxes. They're not religious institutions solely anymore. They're political institutions. And as such, they should pay taxes fully. I bet you that will change conversations as well.
I agree. And I hope that we are the ones that lead these brave conversations and call out the truth and the hypocrisy. And I really am not looking at the future with any pessimism or like it's going to be like, this is a moment for us to be heroes. Why not? History has shown us time and time again that the masses don't always make the right decision. That's history.
Correct.
American history is about people like us fighting for that American independence. And I'm proud to be here for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to be.
Nothing is given. Nothing is ever given to the minorities. We have to take it and we have to fight for them. That is proven. It's been history over and over again since the beginning, inception, and not just this country, but in just society in general. The minorities that have to fight for their own thing, and we have to make sure that we fight for those that are more unsafe or on a less privileged place than we are.
And I honestly don't feel like we're minorities. We just are the people that are able to express ourselves. But think about all those people that live in darkness and in the closet. They're never going to come out. And I think that one day I hope that the viewpoint is that we're not a minority, but that we're still a population to be recognized. And we're not minor, we're major. Okay, Miguel, I'm so glad I had you for this interview. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. You did fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I was so excited that you said you would do this. I think this is a great episode, especially coming into the Thanksgiving season and where we're all determining what our families are. I am glad that are you're my daddy. You're my den daddy. You will always be my den daddy. I know that you
Always and forever.
Yes, and I know that you will always be there if I need something. So I thank you so much for this time, and I'm very honored to have had you here tonight.
I am super glad that you're doing this. This is much well needed, right? There's a lot of negativity out there, and having these little shines, spots of lights are really, really important, and it gives a lot of people a break. And so, thank you for providing that for people. I'm a fan of your podcast, and of course, I love you, and we just spent really good time just earlier this year when we met. So it was really, really, I'm really grateful that you're doing this, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all. That brings us to the end of Throwing Light. And if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. Thank y'all. Bye,
All right,
Miguel.
bye.